Welcome back, everyone. Casey with CX Mods. It has been a while, so I apologize. But today we are going to be installing this long vinyl piece that's actually going to cover up the chrome above the windows on our RAV4. So this is going to be for the front doors, since that's the longest piece, and then we've got two more pieces for the rear portions of the vehicle. As some of you probably had seen in previous videos, we did have rain guards on this vehicle. I had to take those off since I did want to cover up the rest of the chrome. I'll throw those back on later, but in today's video we're just going to focus on getting the vinyl on top of the chrome pieces here. I've already cleaned off the vehicle where the vinyl is going to adhere to, and I've got our heater on in our garage, so it's about 70 degrees in here, so this should adhere really nicely. And another thing is, so today we're going to be installing the matte black. We also have a premium matte black and then a gloss, in case you have on some of the other RAV4s more gloss black features on your vehicle. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to start with the small trim piece first, since that'll be the easiest. And I've got my little squeegee there to help. Trying to get an idea of how much excess vinyl I have to go over the edges. It's a little too far over, so I'm going to butt it up right against the end. See how that looks. It's not bad, but I feel like I can get coverage on the end portion a little bit better. Feel pretty good about where it's at right now. I ended up starting from the end, since it was kind of easiest to line this up first and then work forward. And now I'll just tuck the edges with that. And now we'll just hit it with some heat. So now we'll move on to the rear doors, and for this vinyl, the vinyl for these works on either door, so don't worry about that. There's a bit of a angle to the vinyl because of the trim, so just make sure you have that right side up so that the vinyl goes along with the angle of the trim piece. So I'm probably just going to start with the front and then go towards the back and see how that goes for me. And there should be a bit of an excess amount of vinyl to where you can get ample coverage. Feel pretty good about that. I'm just gonna see if that gets me enough to go to the end here. Yep, so I've got probably 1/4 of an inch off the front, and it seems like I should have enough material to get to the end. I'm sure you could trim that if you want. I'm just gonna see how it looks when I tuck it, but we'll worry about that when we get there. I seem to be favoring the bottom a little too much. Kind of eyeballing the edge of the vehicle here, kind of as my indicator of where to line it up, and it seems to be working all right for me right now. Looks pretty good there. So just a heads up on this back portion, I'm gonna have to end up redoing this at some point, but I'm gonna leave it for now. You're gonna want to go above this little section. So it might actually be best to start out in the back so that you can avoid this and then go to the front. Because I kind of even did it a little bit here. I started out a little too low and I'm not able to tuck it fully. So just learn from my mistakes, not a big deal. I'll redo it, but for those of you that are only doing it once, just make sure you start from the back and then go above this section there. On this front trim piece, this is gonna be the trickiest one, but it still shouldn't be too bad. You're gonna wanna start at the lowest point in the front and then work your way back. And I can already tell that this little spot here is going to be an issue, like I ran into in the back. So you're going to want to go up a little higher unless you plan on trimming this with a knife or something, which you could definitely do. But I'm just going to try and avoid that if I can. Just going to make it difficult. It's not terrible. It's still over it a little bit, but not bad. I'm just going to see what it looks like when I push down on the rest of it. Just make sure that got some bubbles coming up down here, so I'm gonna come back a little bit. And for something like this, honestly, using your finger or your thumb kind of works a little better than a bulky little squeegee. So I'm gonna go with this method now. Obviously you want to use that when you go to folding over the edges or something similar to that, like a card, what have you. There's a lot of excess on this end, so I'll most likely be trimming that off. see, as you can tell, I've got probably a little over an inch excess material there. I'll most likely just cut at the edge there and then fold it in. Did end up going a little lower on this part than I wanted to, but when I push it in, and when I pushed this in, it actually formed pretty well where it doesn't look out of place. So not bad. That was a lot easier than I thought it would be. So now I'll just hit it with a hairdryer and we're good. Now we'll do the other side. So there you have it. It's super simple. Just make sure the surface is really clean, because anything on the trim or even that might get on the vinyl piece will show up once you heat it up. But on the rear doors, like I said, start from the back. That way you can kind of hug this trim piece here and then go towards the front. And then what I noticed on this side when I was doing the front doors was you can definitely go further down with the trim piece or the vinyl piece and then trim both ends when you're done, because that way it gives you a little more leeway. You're not trying to get that vinyl piece perfectly flush with the trim piece, but do it however you're comfortable with. I found that to be best on the second side now that I already did the other side. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to email us at sales@cxmods.com or find us on social media and message us there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.